Well, I'm being joined at this time by Salman Soz, who's a spokesperson for Congress, as well as Karan Verma, who is an author. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining me. Well, first, let me just come to you, Salman Soz. Of course, there's been a strong response from the Congress this time to what the claims have been. And in fact, it was just on Saturday that the External Affairs Minister said that these are very serious allegations and we will look into it, we will probe into all of these things. Now, what's the point that you are making? Because you are saying that the Finance Ministry itself has exposed the government's stand. How?
I think we have to go back a few days when the US president talked about this USAID funding for election purposes, etc., etc. And of course, the BJP's factory of lies thought that they would basically get an advantage by trying to attack the Congress party. Now, the BJP has been in power for now more than 10 years at the center. Any funding that comes into the country, of course, the government has full power to check what it is coming for. But the BJP, despite being in government, feels like it's a Nikami Sarkar. It is totally powerless and can't do anything. And then they behave as if they're the opposition party. So this was happening, and everybody jumped in, and the whole IT cell of the BJP. And then, unfortunately, what happened was the Vice President of India also got involved, which was very, very unfortunate. We should not be parroting, the whims and fancies of a foreign government's president. But Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar said that. He said he was stunned to see what has been revealed by the US president. He said, with a full sense of responsibility, is that the democratic process of this country was sought to be modulated, manipulated to dent and taint the purity of our election process. This is what the vice president said when President Trump first talked about this amount. And then the very next day, the president of the United States said that this $21 million is for my friend Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. And then we have to ask if the Vice President of India feels that the President of the United States speaks with responsibility, then is the Vice President insinuating that we should be filing an FIR against the Prime Minister of this country? Because clearly what the President of the United States seems to be suggesting is that he gave his money to his friend Narendra Modi. And now, the very next day, the President of the United States basically talks about some other number and then comes up with this whole idea that India has very high tariffs, etc. I don't know what he's planning to do about it. But, it doesn't seem to me to be a situation where India should be, India and Indian political parties should have to.
So what essentially are you saying has this financial document done? The finance report, what does it prove according to you?
Yes. Well, the finance ministry basically, what it proves is the following: that there are 7 active projects, USAID projects, that the government of India has documented, and none of them, 0, have to do with elections. 0 elections of any time. And the organization in question that the BJP IT cell tried to promote falsely, that organization has nothing to do with India. That has to do with Bangladesh. So, when the government's own ministry has reports which document...
You're talking about Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening.
It's shocking that the BJP would try to make an issue out of it, and now they've been caught in their own web.
Okay. Karan Verma come in at this point. So it's a very simple argument that Congress is making, and getting to the latest between all of this political rhetoric that is happening, Congress is saying a very simple thing. Look at the finance report. Look at the 7 projects that are ongoing. For all the backlash that has happened over the last few days, in fact, with Donald Trump himself changing the figures quite a bit, because when he did say $21 million, there were fact checks that went on to say that there is no project here with $21 million, particularly with CEPPS, and that it has traces to Bangladesh. That was one of the first things that came in, and then he said $18 million. But coming to what the Congress is now alleging, look at the finance report, look at what comes out of it. Where is the voter turnout connect?
So, Sneha, cherry picking is one of the great hallmarks of the Congress, unfortunately. At no point did the government ever say that in terms of external project aid, something has come for voter turnout. Of course, there are projects, there are two types of fundings when we talk about fundings. One is government to government, that is channeled through banking channels, and federally it is disbursed to the states where the aid is needed. Those are government projects, of course, that has nothing to do with voter turnout. So I don't think anyone's knowledge has increased after this fact coming to the fore. But the problem is when the USAID funnels those funds through to a network of NGOs, and that is where the problem is. Sneha, you must understand. In terms of funds disbursed to NGOs, it has, as per government sources, it has gone up by $400 million than what it was from 2004 to 14. And that is what Donald Trump also struck at. Donald Trump has time and again said, and the entire Republican plank was, that the US aid is the financial arm of the deep state. Now, what does the deep state want to accomplish? It wants to accomplish chaos. It wants to foment tensions. It wants to engineer regime changes. That is exactly where the problem is. When we talk about NGOs like FDLAP, Forum for Democratic Leaders, a forum I'm talking about, Asia Pacific, whose co-chairperson was Sonia Gandhi ji. What was she talking about? FDLAP clearly said Kashmir is not an integral part of India. What was it? No, Sneha, let me complete. You can't break my flow in between. You have to let me complete.
No, finish. I'm going to give you the time. Don't worry. I'm going to give you all the time. Don't worry, Karan. Everybody has a right to say here. Go ahead.
Yeah, please let me complete the chain of thoughts. It was being financed by OCCRP. Now, who was OCCRP rolled by? By the Open Society Foundation. Open Society Foundation happens to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of USAID. What has George Soros on record said on 24th January 2020? We want a regime change in India. Salil Shetty, person from Open Society, joins Rahul Gandhi in 2021 on Bharat Jodo Yatra, repeats the same words. Harsh Mandir, who was a part of the National Advisory Council, which was apparently sitting on top of the government back in the Manmohan Singh days, clearly said that yes, his NGO networks like Karwane Mohabbat, what did Karwane Mohabbat do? It fomented tension during CAA, the NRC. What was it receiving funding from? From Open Society Foundation, one of the biggest beneficiaries of USAID. So this is the NGO cottage industry that we are talking about, not the government to government projects that we are mentioning.